All right, so this one I want to show because it can help you as a solo developer to just get some help when you commit code. Using AI, we can just review some of our work and eventually automate some of the updates. I did a previous video where I show you how in Bolt I push to a staging branch so I can keep seeing the changes thanks to Coolify, so it's deploying. But when I'm ready to go to the main branch and push it to what we call production so everybody can use it, I create a pull request to give it a moment for these things to run. And so what happens is with GitHub or with code, I think this was originated by GitHub, is that when we have a change to our code, we can create a pull request. And when we create a pull request, then we can trigger automations. So you can use things like Copilot. You can buy things or pay for jewels or whatever. What I'm going to show you is a more personal or more, I'll even say affordable, because again, in the next video, or maybe this one, I'll show it using open source models. But you can plug in this change into your automation. So if you think for a moment as a user making a pull request, and so again, a pull request, it's such a weird idea because I haven't used it in years until finally with AI in writing code differently, I now have to approach my workflows differently at this level. But basically, say you make a change, right, in your code base and you commit that, example code. Now I'm going to I'll make a new branch, okay? And we'll call this a code change. Okay. So this typically would be staging if this was the code. Like, I don't want to mess with staging because, I'm actually working on this. But I've now created a pull request, and GitHub does some things here to review or run some reviews for you. But what I'm going to do now is trigger N8N, because in here I can do a lot with automation. What we're going to end up with is not only a kind of summary here like we saw a moment ago. Let's go back to that guy. But we're also going to end up with potential issues that we can label as fix. And then that would trigger the next part of this, which would actually do the fix. So if you look at it for a moment, you have a user who did some code, they make a pull request, and then that triggers all the automation. Now I'm going to show you the agentic kind of flow versus the synchronous, and why there's an advantage sometimes to the synchronous workflows in N8N. So let's look at the agentic flow. So in the agentic flow, and I probably should have gotten a notice right there. Yeah, so that one's running, but let's look at the one I already did. So all this will do is say, okay, I got your trigger. I have the fact that you made a pull request. So what is this guy? This is on pull request creation. I don't know if it does pull request updates, triggered pull request assigned, unassigned, labeled. Yeah, looks like it could get triggered a lot. So then I would have to decide here, what is the particular action? Oh, there it is, action. I just want to focus on opened. So I would add an if statement here that says if opened. I didn't even think of that because, let's see, actioned, opened, right? So I only want to react to this if it's opened. And then I'm just setting some variables here to centralize them. And I had this here because I wanted to show you doing browser automation. And these I don't even use. This one I use for browser automation. This one I don't use because I can get it right from the pull request. So we could actually get rid of a lot of those. But I do put some things here to help. But like, you could get this from a database and say, hey, they're working on repo X. The particular data related to that, the URL and whatnot, so we can do browser automation, is from the database. Okay, so now we just do a quick cleanup where I just remove some stuff from the file system that are related to the repo. Now, again, maybe we have 3 developers working on this, so we would then make different folder patterns here, where I probably would just say they have a pull request here, so I'd probably do something like pull request number, right? So then I would be saying, I'm not going to do this every time. I'm going to just do this cleanup to the folder for that pull request. So at this point, we have our folder for our pull request, and we have the folder for the code. And then we use the git node to then clone the repos. Now we clone the repo. But you can see I could keep changing this to be better and better. Like I say, hey, we're cloning it into this folder so that we don't overwrite someone else who might be doing a pull request right now. So once we get that code from that particular branch, so this cloning is interesting because it's cloning main, we then would have to do the work of checking out that branch. So here we go with the numbers, and I'll do this as I'm working through this video just so you can see it. Is now I'm saying, hey, go into that folder, check out that branch name we got earlier from the GitHub trigger. And let's see, vars. So this one was using that, but here I should replace this now with this, right? So what is the branch name? We get the trigger from here, and the pull request would be on the particular branch. So let's go find that branch. Let's see. Just so I might as well just do it while I'm here and not go close this and try it. So we don't want this anymore. I want to learn what branch the person was working on. So in this case, the person was working on, let's see, what branch is that? Seems like I might have gone delete branch on merge, false, allow branch, default branch. So let's go see how that guy, let's see if I did something in that pull request that wasn't correct. If we look at this pull request, staging, so it's my staging branch, yeah. So I don't want to assume that though. So let's go see how we could find that in the code, in the dynamic data I'm getting back. So GitHub trigger body pull request head ref. So I'd put the ref here to say I'm checking out staging, but then I'm going to install Repo Mix. So Repo Mix is just a shortcut here. I was trying to use Claude Code last week and I couldn't get it to finish. It would not change things. So I'm trying to figure out how to get Claude Code or Gemini or OpenCode to work here. But in the meantime, I'm going to use Repo Mix. Now, Repo Mix is a pretty well-known library, came popular with all the AI stuff. And with Repo Mix, I'm just going to install it. And then in the next one, I'm going to run it. Now, I don't run it here because I had some trouble in the past where it would fail, but then I'm like, did it fail on the run? Did it fail on the install? So by separating them, I was just able to troubleshoot which one failed. And that's why I did that. So here we change back into the directory and let's open this up to give us some room. And we change into the directory. So the pull request number, the directory, and then we're just running Repo Mix. You could do it differently. I just chose Markdown. I ignore node modules, which actually isn't even there, but you could ignore some folders and then you can compress it, which I guess the compression is going to help me, but there's 1 million to 2 million token space in Gemini. So you kind of wonder sometimes. No, there's that lost in the middle kind of thing where the more context you give it, sometimes it can lose track of things. But then I go grab the file from the disk. So now we've changed the disk location. So let me just keep doing this as we go so you can see how it works inside. And then we have the Repo Mix file. So we have the contents of that file right here. And this is in a Docker container, by the way. So I ran it on my server or a Docker container. And then we just say, give me that as just raw text. Okay, fine, pass it over. Now, this one here is just me writing some rules for the team. It doesn't have to be a crazy MCP. It could just be a GitHub repo where you as a team keep your rules, or you as a company. So here's some rules I want to make sure get followed. But these rules, as I use Bolt, my rules get less and less. I tell Bolt to basically read and write to the superbase. Let me do stuff on the other side, use WebSockets and things like that. So my rules are changing and getting more simple as I let Bolt do some of the work, a lot of the work, as I build some ideas, okay? So in that case, you could just put rules that are relative to your team, and because they're in a Google Doc, every time we want to update them, we don't have to go here. You could put them in a database, you could put them anywhere that feels like the best place, and then bring them in here. So now I get all the past issues, so in case I don't want to keep repeating this. Even though the issues are related to the pull request, I don't really have them in the pull request, which I could do. I'll show that after. And then when we get something like issues, or we get something that's, what do we call it? It's an array, right? So this is going to be an array of data. I'm going to take a moment to aggregate it. And this is a pattern where you just say, hey, take what's there and smash it together into one bit. So we go from 2 rows in the table to 1. So then I take this other guy called the summary. This is a good node, actually. I use this a lot now. I saw it on a video. Yeah, summarize. In summarize, I just concatenate that and smash it all together into just concatenated data. I don't know if I need it though after using aggregate, but it'd be interesting. I still do it. And I also sometimes remove things. So aggregate is nice because I can say, you know what, I only want the title and body. So I can start cleaning up the text to eliminate some stuff really quickly. And then I give it to the AI agent. So this is the one that I'm going to show you an alternative to, but you can see like how pretty amazing this could get. where I can have an agent that updates the README. I can have an agent, I actually have one that does it reads over the routing files. So we have a sense of the permissions and the middleware and the auth and the roles that the system considers to make sure we're not messing up any roles. So I could also hit browser use and do my QA testing. I could hit an MCP for row level security and Superbase to make sure that's right. We have internal projects we spit out, and sometimes we forget to do SEO stuff to them. Of course, you can have security checks and code patterns and rules. Here's my repo mix step. You could update a changelog. So you can really start putting in all of these workflows, and these become tools, or in the next workflow I'll show you, they just become steps. And so here's the browser test workflow. Here's the code standards check. And what is that doing? That guy in that case just says, thanks for the input. I'm going to grab those rules again, and then I'm going to have AI do something with that and then return results. So this AI with its prompt will do the work, use the tools, and then build up structured outputs so that we get an array of suggestions, okay? Now the split says, hey, take that output you gave me, because now it's going to be consistent because I've told the agent to give me specified structured output. And then in the structured output, I say, give me an array of an object. So it knows to do something like this, okay? So from here, we're getting the structured output. We're taking a moment to put it into the split so it becomes not an object like this. It becomes a table like this. I'm not sure if you could loop over that. I don't think you can, but anyways, now I can loop over it. So at this point, we then can start making those issues as it goes over each loop. And ideally, if it's working well or with a little bit of work, we would get all the previous issues so it won't keep repeating itself. And we could connect the issues to the pull request now that I think about it. I think there's a field in here that lets me do this. I'd have to see. I thought there was. So I can label it. It doesn't look like I connect it to a pull request. I thought I could, but you could name it in a way or label it in a way that helps you connect it to the pull request. So you can make sure you're not repeating your issues for every pull request. It just depends on your needs. So when it's finally done with a loop, we come out of this with 5 different things that have happened. And then I don't know if this is the best pattern, but I tend to aggregate all that. So in the end, it becomes 1. And the reason I do this is because I don't want to do something here 5 times. I want to do it once. And what I'm doing here is, again, using that summarize node to say, thanks for that data. I'm going to take all that, I'm going to comma separate it and smash it all together into this.
Tired of paying fees just to look for work? Tired of losing a chunk of every hour you bill? At Uswork, you keep what you earn because you did the work, not the platform. Join Uswork. 1 fee, no cuts, just work.
And again, I don't know in this one. Yeah, so I'd have to in the aggregate say, you know what, I only want certain fields. So I would at this moment decide what fields make sense. Now, obviously I don't need user. I could have just done title, number. Yeah, I could totally have reduced that down a ton, right? So you can see that I could have said, let's see what we got here. Schema is usually easier to look at. So here I just want title, I want number, and maybe I want some body somewhere. I think, let's see, I forget if that's what they call it. So I think that's what they call them. Let's see. Yep, it's body. Okay. So that would help to prevent the just over taking up too much context of the AI. And then this final AI just says, take all this data and just give me a nice summary that I can put into the review itself. And then we just push that back in the review. So what the person gets on their end is a sense of, here's some of the things we see. These are things that are relative to what we consider to be patterns. So it's not so generic. It's very much about your company. And it could link to them. I don't know if it did a good job of that. Yeah, it did. That's cool. And then you could manage them there. It could have done 1 comment per issue, and you as the developer could reply to the comment or close the comment down. Now, what you could also do is say, okay, listen, on this issue, and I haven't done this yet. I was trying to, and I can, and I did, but not with Claude Code. I did it with just Repo Mix and some AI. So I'm going to add a label saying fix, just for the heck of it. And, oh, I guess it doesn't work like that. So you can imagine then let's go back to here. Let's go back to here. And you'll see a lot of repeats because now I ran another one. And let's see. You don't have to have repeats. That just takes time to minimize. So I could say fix me, and that could trigger another N8N on issue updates. And if the label is fix me, then you would go pull down that branch, do those particular fixes, push them up, and then they would show up in the pull request as an update. So we did this one while we were talking, and you'll see it came through and did some stuff here. And you'll see it didn't do those nice links. I should go see why. Now I like that, so I should make that part of the prompt. Instead of letting the AI just decide to do that randomly, I really do that. It's not that hard, actually, to tell it to do that in the prompt, because it is a kind of obvious link. At this point, though, I want to show something here, though. So when we watch a lot of these videos, we see the AI agent, and we see it using these tools, and this is really neat. But the problem is you can't always guarantee the agent's going to use the tool. So when you're in a situation of not wanting to not have a tool used, that's where you can get into this pattern here. So let's go open up this one here. And that I switch it around so that instead of having them be tools, I take those tools which are just workflows and I just put them in order here. And then with each one of these, I wait for it to finish. Now, I don't have to wait. What I could do is have them go 1, 2, 3 and have them work synchronously, then I could just wrap this up. But I think at that point, it could be a little harder to bring it all together. So letting it wait, letting it do one at a time. Browser check could take a few minutes. So it is tricky. Like, how do you decide when to wait and when not to wait? So then the AI agent at the end isn't there to choose what tools to use. It's there to take all the results of each one of these and decide what to do, like we did before, to make issues. So again, it gets all the results from each one of those that you could keep stacking up more, and it makes issues. But you can see where a better pattern here would be that once all of these are triggered, you could then be done here and let those go have another flow that then talks to the agent that then decides what issue to make. So you can really expand this and make it scale better for speed so that the person has a pull request and right away they see results. So I just want to show that sometimes in this case, this is great, but when you really want each tool to be used, each workflow, then you sometimes want to put it more synchronous like this. All right. So with that little bit of effort, not much, we have something where I as a solo user, I as a team can create a pull request, which I show myself doing. And I don't want to open up bulk because it takes a moment, where then I can have this kind of thing checking over me as I go. And then I can come back there and maybe see something I didn't see, like I forgot a row level security or something. And just help me along the way to see these things and then eventually just fix them for me. Honestly, we're going to probably shift to all of this before long. This is like where we are now in time. I think in the next few months, it's just going to be this. We're just going to be making issues in a dashboard and everything just gets done for us. But the human in the loop is still there and it will be there for a little bit. This is one way to look at that. All right, just want to share that idea of how to use the triggers and pull requests and then look at your code and just give you a hand as you're building. All right, thank you.